How
Oh
are
my gosh, Heather, hi.
you? Good to see you.
It's so good to see you. How are you?
Good. How have
Good.
you been? How was the move?
Good. Crazy. Yeah. I've been good overall, but it's been a big adjustment, you know?
Was it Salt Lake City? I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's big.
I know it is big. It's it's good overall. But
Good.
yeah, how are you?
I'm good. Everything's the same. I wonder
Good.
about you.
Oh yeah.
What are you doing there? What's going on?
I'm in oh, looks like she's in
Hi
between
guys,
kind of
hold on 1 sec.
spaces. Oh, there's Lauren. Hi, Lauren.
I got it. Okay.
What a cute picture.
That is a cute picture.
Oh, Raven's so young. Hi.
Ellen Petite. Cute.
Yeah, but where's the really don't see the audio the audio so it's the bottom one.
I'm glad you love it, Kaylee.
I know. Yeah, me too. Sorry, I was getting trying to make sure I was doing the right thing, but yeah, yeah, it's good.
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yep,
Yep.
How
Yeah.
do
I
we
can
know
hear
they're
you.
hearing me through this?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Recording in progress. And which like next you go for the night. And these wireless go to RX. Yeah, is it the mic? Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's that one. Okay, we're good. And it's, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hi, everybody on Zoom. Hi, everybody here. Let's just do a little housekeeping before we begin. It would be helpful to know who has a foam roller. Raise your hand if you have a foam roller. Oh, yay! Thank you. Thank you. That's going to make class a lot easier. If you don't have a foam roller, you're going to want to pair with someone that does, but we have a few extra. Here's an extra one. I have, raise your hand if you don't have one, and let's pass. I have another one in my thing, and we'll get you guys one, and then. Got one more. All right. We're gonna pass those out. Hey guys, and you guys can share. And then back there, Katie, do you have one? Can you guys share? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. Everybody has one or one to share? And yeah, you guys can share. Okay, great. Wonderful. Okay, that is really helpful. And let me think if there's anything else I want to housekeep about. Yeah, now if you have other stuff, we'll get to it, but the foam roller was the really important one. Oh, and the other thing that you need to have out, make sure, does everybody have a sock if you don't have the two balls? Did everybody bring a large sock? Yeah? Okay, good. While we do this first little slideshow and review, oh yeah, you guys didn't meet Sam. This is Samantha. She was in YTT last year, our wonderful Sam. And she's also a TA for us this year. And so while we're doing this little review, Sam, if you don't have like two balls in a sock or something similar, Sam's gonna give you two tennis balls, put it in your sock and tie it tight, okay? And we'll use those later. I hate this thing blocking me, but oh well. If I'm on that side, then it blocks over here. All right, well, I'm really happy to see all of you. Huh? Oh, right, exactly. Yeah. Yes, yes. And here's everybody on Zoom. Okay, so let's begin. the first thing I'm going to begin to talk about is why I bring heart math into this work. So you guys did a little heart math last time, which is sort of the heart meditation we did. And then when you watch the videos, I always begin them with heart math. And one of the reasons that I include it in learning anatomy is that after teaching anatomy now for many years, what I find is that what comes up for a lot of people around anatomy is their past experiences from school. And like some of the narrative that we can have in our heads around learning in this way. And what I mean by in this way is, yes, we are going to spend time learning somatically in our bodies in this class. And because you have chosen to be in yoga teacher training, I can kind of assume that that's more of a comfortable place for you. But a big part of learning anatomy is the intellectual side and that brain work. And depending on past experiences, those past experiences can get layered onto coming up against that process of learning. And what I just really want to support all of you with is with gentleness and kindness with yourself. And the biggest part about anatomy is being curious. Is just letting yourself be curious and trust that you are where you are. Like some of you have a lot of experience with it. Some of it, it's your first time seeing these things or thinking about these things or being asked to observe these things. And so there's really no expectation except for you to start where you are, remain open, and remain curious, because if the story comes in, then usually our curiosity shuts down and our ability to take in information becomes less. Okay, so please take all pressure off of yourself and connect with that part of you that stays curious, and heart math is really wonderful for that. So let's begin. So come into a comfortable seated position. You can just listen to my voice. You can lay down, whatever feels best to you, but in a place where you feel like you can remain present. You can allow your eyes to close or have a gentle gaze. And just begin by tuning into your breath. So just sense your breath in the moment. There's no need to fix or adjust. Feel the breath passing in and out of your nose. And begin to sense the movement of your rib cage. With your exhalation, perhaps you can sense into the quality of a downward energy as you become more grounded and rooted, feeling the parts of your body that are making contact with the earth in this very moment. Soften the muscles of your face. Soften your jaw. Allow your lower and upper teeth to separate, perhaps just a little. Sense into the space of this room, the temperature, the sounds. Even feel the flows on your body. As you feel yourself becoming more present, bring your awareness to your heart. Just deepening your awareness into what you sense as your heart center. This could be the energetic center, the chakra, or the organ itself. Perhaps you can feel your heartbeat. And as you inhale and your chest expands, allow the heart to also expand with breath. So it's as if the heart is filling like a balloon. The front, the back, the top, bottom, 360 degrees of your heart, and the tissue that surrounds the heart is broadening with each inhalation. And you don't have to force it, you don't have to push it. Do it in a way that feels deeply comfortable. You're taking this moment to meet your heart right here, right now. And with each exhalation, a sense of softening. With each inhalation, as the heart broadens and your rib cage expands, you might sense that your diaphragm is moving down in space and making more space for the heart. And with each exhalation, the diaphragm recoils, it lifts up, domes up as the heart softens, bringing a gentle massage to the heart. And feeling these internal movements inside as you remain present with your breath. Think of something that brings you joy, peace, contentment, something that you find beautiful, allows you to feel safe. Whatever that one emotion is that feels as if it will be like an elixir for your heart right now. See that image. And breathe that felt sense into your heart center. See if you can remain present with it. The image, and most importantly, the feeling. And it's as if your heart is drinking that. The heart sends 1,000 times more messages to the brain than the brain does to the heart. We're calming our system and we're opening our minds via the doorway of the heart. Good. Let's take just a couple more breaths here. When you're ready, I'll have you gently open your eyes. Okay, so let's begin. We're going to do a quick review of the structures of the core canister. And internal places, maybe for this part. So you certainly can catch up on videos after the class, but you'll see as I send out the emails when I really suggest that you watch the videos. If you stay on track with the videos, what we do in class will make a lot more sense. And I'm going to be talking to you guys as if you watched them, okay? So the first, yeah, can I turn off that light? So here we're looking at a picture, and I'm just going to review some structures today so that you're in your mind as we go through class today. Here we're looking at the structures, the main structures of the core canister. And the core canister we can think of very simplistically like a Coke can, okay? So the top of the can would be what? The respiratory diaphragm, yes. The bottom of the can would be the pelvic floor, yay. The most internal wall, front wall of the can is front and back. The front all wraps around to the back is transverse abdominis, right? And then the deepest spinal muscles, multifidus, okay? So those are the deepest muscles of the core canister. Now let's just look at them individually for a moment. So here is a great picture of the respiratory diaphragm, which attaches along the lower rib cage. The lowest part of it attaches on the 360 degrees around the lowest part of the rib cage. And that's why you see this big U in the front, because if you feel your ribs, and everybody do this, you know, you have this xiphoid process, the base of the sternum, and then your front ribs come down in a U along that U shape, okay? In the back, it travels all the way along the base of the ribs, and then it has these long ligamentous attachments called crua that attach to the anterior spine, the front of your spine. So if you could stick your fingers into your body, that is the part of the spine that attaches to, and you can see it's like the shape of a parachute, right?
Lauren,
Yes.
sorry, they're not seeing that PowerPoint on the Zoom.
Oh, they're not?
They're seeing like a white, or that's what I'm seeing.
It looks like this.
A white stripe.
Oh. Huh, okay.
You share the screen.
I did. Let me do it one more time. Sorry, guys. See what's going on here. Share. Let's do it. It's there? Okay. All right, good. Thank you. That's why I need you guys to have a computer. All right, so moving on. That's the shape of the respiratory diaphragm. And now let's talk about how the diaphragm moves. This is a good visual I like to do, and I'd like you to do it with me. Oh, wait, I want them to see me, but hopefully you can see me. Is make your diaphragm a shape like this, right? So as you inhale, the diaphragm moves down and the ribs open. As you exhale, the diaphragm lifts up and the ribs come down. For some reason, that is very confusing. It took me a long time to understand that that was actually how the diaphragm moves, but feel it. As you inhale, the respiratory diaphragm moves down, the ribs move out, and you have more space in your chest for your lungs, so air enters in. As you exhale, what happens to your abdominal muscles? They contract, they draw back. The respiratory diaphragm rises up. There's less space in your chest and air moves out. Let's do that 2 more times. And so what we also see here, this might sound confusing at first, is that the power of these muscles is in the frontal plane. Okay? We might think they move out like this, but they move in this plane. right? They move in the frontal plane. They're getting shorter this way and longer this way. Can you see that? Shorter this way, longer that way. That will come into play later. But just to introduce that concept. Okay, here we see the pelvic floor. We will have other modules where we go more deeply into the musculature that exists at the base of the pelvis. But it helps you just see the pelvis. And so what happens when you have a good, sorry, I keep being out of frame in the Zoom, when you have a good functioning core, an efficiently functioning core, when you inhale, your respiratory diaphragm is coming down, right? It's flattening, coming down. And at the same time, if you have a healthy, functioning, efficient pelvic floor, it's also coming down because of, it's a trick question, intra-abdominal pressure, right? We have intra-abdominal pressure. And so as we exhale, the diaphragm rises up and the pelvic floor rises up. And they move like this when we're well stacked and we have an efficient core. Now, there's all kinds of reasons why that might not happen so well, but one of the things that we want from our movement practice is that if it isn't happening so well, that we are restoring that efficiency. And we're going to learn about that. We have multiple layers of abdominal muscles. The deepest being the transverse abdominis, which is in the yellow. We have a little peekaboo into there. After that, we have the internal obliques. We're going to look at each of these. Then you have the rectus abdominis, and then you have the external obliques, okay? Your deepest is the transverse abdominis. Look at all of its attachments. It is a full corset within your body. It attaches all the way down. Feel your pubic bone to the inside of your pelvis and wraps all the way to the back where it attaches to fascia along the spine, okay? And then it also attaches at the top all the way at your rib cage. And it is like this with your diaphragm, okay? So you can see in that same place where the lowest part of the diaphragm attaches, the transverse also attaches. And they are like interwoven together. And what is their relationship? I'm going to ask you guys a bunch of trick questions, okay, if you don't remember. Exactly, they have an antagonist relationship. And so we'll learn a lot more about what that means when we study muscles. But all muscles have an opposing muscle. And so what that means is when one muscle is activated and contracting and growing shorter, the opposite muscle is releasing and growing longer. Okay, and so the diaphragm and the transverse have an antagonist relationship. So as you inhale, your diaphragm is what? Getting shorter or longer? Shorter. When you inhale, your diaphragm is getting, the muscles of the diaphragm are getting shorter, okay? That's what helps the action of the ribs spread apart, okay? It's that shortening of the diaphragm that makes the ribs spread apart. And then as you exhale, the diaphragm is releasing, not working, and the transverse, a healthy transverse, is contracting and drawing in. Let's feel that for a second. So, and sometimes the movement can help. So as you inhale, diaphragm moves down, ribs expand. Exhale, you might feel your low belly draw back towards your spine, and that's your transverse. Feel it a few times. And the opposite one has to release for the other one to work well. And so if you have a transverse that's always tight, it will limit the movement of the diaphragm and vice versa. Okay? So that's transverse, the deepest part of our core. We'll come back to that. Okay. These are your internal obliques, okay? And you can see these are like your waist muscles, right? And look at the direction of the fibers, okay? When you do a side bend, do a little side bend, that's one side of that muscle getting shorter, right? Everybody see that? Layered on top of that is your rectus abdominis. Look at its attachments, okay? It attaches way up in your rib cage and all the way down to the pubic bone. If I had a really tight rectus abdominis, what shape might that pull my spine into? It is kyphosis, it's flexion. Yes. So if you have a tight rectus abdominis, it's going to pull you into flexion. Exactly. And these are the external obliques. What I would like you to notice is that the internal obliques, the fibers are in this direction, and the external obliques, the fibers are in this direction. You will see this opposing direction of fibers throughout the body. And it's a very intelligent way that we maintain stability in tissue. Because if we're turning this way, we always have some opposing force in the opposite. Okay?
Want us to leave the questions till after?
I do. So we just come back. Transverse, internal, rectus, and external obliques. Let's look at the musculature of the back of the core. So, and all these muscles really pertain specifically to the core canister. So the deepest are the multifidus, and they are closest to the spine. It is considered one muscle, but it's really an arrangement. You'll see this a lot in the body too. It's an arrangement of a bunch of tiny little muscles between all the vertebrae working together to maintain stability within the spine and a little bit of support with rotation. Okay? Next, we have the erectors. And the erectors are composed of three muscles, more superficial than multifidus. Multifidus is deeper, erectors are more superficial, and three muscles on either side of the spine. Now, if somebody had a lot of contraction and rigidity in their erectors, what shape might they live in? Extension, right? And we could call this is something like in the bodywork world, or that you guys can begin to notice and see in people, somebody who lives in what you might call posterior rib lock, right? Because the erectors are tight all the time, and it's bringing their back ribs into a really tight place that they're living like this a lot, okay? Feel that for a second. Notice how that might affect your breath. Come into some extension. It changes how the diaphragm functions. Okay, I think we're good. Oh, and these are sort of support muscles for the core, which is composed of two muscles called psoas minor and iliacus, but it's usually called the iliopsoas complex. Okay, these muscles work together, and just because they are very involved in the shape that your core is able to make, these are part of our hip flexors. So can you see that when this muscle complex is engaged, it could cause me to do this, right? This gets shorter from my back, inserts at my inner thigh, and when it contracts, I flex my hip. I flex at my hip, okay? So some activities where somebody is using a lot of contraction. Iliopsoas in a very repetitive way would be running, biking. Now, what if you're somebody who sits all day? Do you think that this muscle complex could get stiff? Yeah. If you sit a lot, things can become more rigid and affect our ability as to what is available in our pelvis movement. Okay? All right. I'm going to keep this on. Eventually, soon I'm going to move to the front of the room and we're going to start some movement stuff. But before I go, we change gears. Questions? Leslie?
Let's see if I can remember. So you said.
Oh, wait, I should give you a minute.
If the transverse abdominis gets stuck and it affects your breathing, and then in yoga, we're saying, pull your belly to your spine, hug into center, and then we're holding it tight and we're affecting our breathing. Is that
Okay,
efficient in our practice?
Well, okay, that's a very multi-layered question, but it's a good question. So what you're going to find in here is I'm going to give you answers and they're going to give you a lot more questions. And when we talk about class, you're talking about many different bodies doing many different things. And so there's never one right answer because our bodies are all unique and it's very specific. That kind of instruction could be wonderful for someone who needs to find and engage transverse, and it might not be so supportive for someone who lives in a place where their mom told them since they were little to keep their belly sucked in, and they've lived that way their whole life, and it's become subconscious because the brain has adapted that, right? And so sucking in more is not necessarily efficient or supportive. And that's why one of the things that we talk about today and we'll learn more about is down training and up training and looking at specific bodies and learning your body. Does that help?
Yeah, thanks, Lauren.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the attachment for the transverse abdominis in the back? Like
It's the
which?
fascia. It's the lumbar fascia.
Okay,
the
cool,
back.
cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. So there's just a large line of fascia and it just
And-
attaches into that fascia.
And like at the same place that like the lats do, or that same.
So
piece
what
of-
I'm going to say is I'm really happy to answer this question after class, but I think it's really important that we stay specific with the material that we're doing now.
Okay.
But I'm happy to answer that later.
Cool.
Yeah. Anything else? No? Okay. All right. So now we are going to, so Petite, if I turn this off and move to the front of the room, they'll be able to see me just via that camera. Okay.
And they're already on Zoom there.
Okay, so you guys on Zoom are gonna want to pin the classroom scene and I'm gonna move to the front of the room. Okay, and I'm gonna stop share here. And then Sam, if you could pass out, or you both could pass out a super ball to everybody. Forgot about that.
The big one, right? Not the small ones.
No, the small ones.
Oh, small. I was like, it's not really
Super balls. I feel like I do need to move this, so I just don't need to unplug that. I'm gonna move this to the front. No, yeah, you can just move that off to the side, get out of the way, and then I'm gonna move this to the front of the class. So everyone grab a super ball and then we're gonna change direction on your mat and we're gonna face over here. Some blocks would be great for the mat, for the computer. Okay, now for those of you,
You're gonna take one of those next instead and do the right now.
Okay.
can you hear me?
Because this is.
I think we should keep it over there, no? Does it matter?
Oh, here, this is you.
Oh, can you guys hear me? Okay. Please communicate about sound if it's not working, okay, at some point. So if you have, oh, and Katie, I have it for you. A lot of little pieces and parts to remember. If you have your notebook, we're going to be looking at the handout that says something about the core canister. I'll tell you right now. When the core canister is efficiently stacked, and I would love a Super Ball. Super Ball. Okay, so we're going to talk about, thank you, Annie. What it means to be stacked, how to feel into if we're stacked, and then how to begin to observe how other people stack. The first place that we're going to begin to work with is our feet. So the way weight most efficiently arrives in our feet is at 3 points of the feet. The center of the heel, the big toe mound, and the pinky toe mound. It's a tripod. Think of it like 3 legs of a bar stool. Okay? How we're going to begin to really feel into this and a lot of the structures in our body is by giving them feedback. And so what you're going to do is you're going to grab your Super Ball, and with your foot, you're just going to begin. And these Super Balls are actually a little bit tiny. I ordered them, and they're smaller than the ones I got last time. You're just going to roll the whole bottom of your foot. Just wake it up. And just notice how there might be some sticky points, but you're just going into, at first, the entire sole of the foot. Giving it some information. And then what I want you to do is to come into the center of your heel and get a little more specific, right, in that area. It might be crunchy, might be a little painful, and keep rolling. Wake it up. From there, go to your pinky toe mound. And from there, your big toe mound. You might feel some cracklies in there. And you're feeling into the fascia, the muscle, the bone. Woo. One little side there speaking to me. And then try and do a little bit of like a coordinated movement where you go, start at your heel, you roll it to your pinky toe. You roll across to your big toe mound, and then you come back to your heel. So you're drawing that tripod. And that's where you're going over the arches of the foot. We have 3 main arches. We have the arch that we all call just the arch, But that's your medial arch, that's your inner arch. We also have a lateral arch that goes from the center of the heel to the pinky toe mound, and we have a transverse arch that goes across. And all those arches need to be functional for a well-organized foot. Now I'll go the opposite direction.
What was the outer arch called?
Lateral. Medial, lateral, transverse. We do this in another class too, just FYI. And then from here, I'm going to have you stand up. And just notice the information that is arriving from that one foot without the ball. So stand on both feet. And just notice if you can sense into the foot that you were just rolling more, then you're able to sense into the other foot. That is called feedback. And that feedback is your brain communicating with your foot more clearly. You just opened up that wiring more so. Now let's do the other foot, but now try it standing with the other foot, and it's more challenging. And this, so first just do the whole foot, and like I said, these balls are a little tiny. I got them because they're faceted, and the facet is really, that shape is good to like get into the nooks and the crannies, but they're a little small for the coordination piece. But you can see, might be a little, it's harder, because now you're standing and you're trying to balance and get the full sole of the foot, you're picking it up. And then we're going to get a little more specific, and you're going to do the center of your heel. And then your pinky toe mound. Oh. And you might have more pressure because you're standing now, which could make a difference, but. And then, yeah, I'll make lots of groans and noises. And then big toe mound. And then the real coordination piece is drawing the tripod. And you can do this. This is a great exercise to do seated, not necessarily on the ground, but like when you're in a chair, and then standing. And to work waking up those arches. And go the other way. And can be quite difficult. And notice what's happening in your core to make this happen. Lots of things, maybe. Okay. So that's you're present. Everyone can keep your Super Bowl. Come to standing. And come into your natural stance. And see if you can perhaps shift your weight back and forth a little. Really feel into those 3 points, center of your heel, pinky toe mound, big toe mound. And then we want to find a way that our weight is translating first into the center of our heel. So feel that the center of your heel is receiving your weight. That might pull you back in space a bit. From that, as you maintain that arrival of weight into the center of your heel, feel yourself reaching into the pinky toe mound and the big toe mound. And that is creating a tripod. And it is the most efficient way for weight to arrive in our feet. We all live in different places in our feet. Some people live really far forward and they use a lot of grip in their toes. Some people live really far back. The other thing that's very common, we'll explore later, is the medial arch will drop, right? And so people are pronated, or they'll have more weight on the outer edge of their foot. They'll be supinated. But right now we're just going to focus on these 3 points, okay? The beginning of stacking when we're standing begins with weight arriving in the 3 points of your feet equally. First, center of your heel, and then into the pinky toe and the ball mound. And just notice, by waking up your feet, do you feel a little more connected to the earth? Perhaps a little more present? Feet have a huge representation in the brain. Feet and hands, largest representation in the brain. And so that's a very quick way to regulate your system and to wake up your brain and to bring you present. Okay? Next, we're going to talk about the pelvis. There are a lot of different movements that the pelvis can do, but today we're going to investigate two, which is when the pelvis dips forward and when the pelvis dips back. Can we all imagine that the pelvis is like a bowl, right? A neutral pelvis would be when this bowl would be able to hold water without it spilling. So if the water was going to spill forward, everybody bend your knees, and let's do what's called anterior tilt of the pelvis. You're right, so your tailbone's going to pop out, you're going to have some arch in your back, and you're spilling the weight forward. That's anterior tilt. Posterior tilt, so it tilts towards the back, is when the tailbone tucks under, and there would be water spilling out the back. Right? We do this a lot, back and forth, in cat-cow, and movements like that. Anterior tilt. So let's do this. Just do it a couple more times. It's a little easier with your knees bent to get more movement of that anterior, posterior tilt. And I want you to see what feels much more easy for you and what feels harder for you. Which shape can you make more easily? I can really make an anterior tilt very easily. Posterior tilt, I've had to train a lot. But everybody's different. And then find a place that feels more like neutral for you, where you're not in anterior tilt and you're not in posterior tilt, but it feels as if you are able to balance that bowl of water in your pelvis. And when you do that, how does that feel in your core? Does it feel more engaged? Even just gently, slightly. Next, the rib cage. The rib cage is like the pelvis in that it can make those same shapes. So if we were going to do an anterior tilt of the rib cage, it would look like this, right? We'd be in a back bend. And if we were going to do a posterior tilt of the rib cage, it would look like that. And so we talk about the pelvis, so just back and forth, just feeling like you're just really mobilizing the front and the back of the rib cage. What feels easier for you? What feels harder? We talk about the pelvis, the metaphor of a pelvis being like a bowl. The rib cage is like a lampshade. Everyone see that? And so if someone has a lot of anterior tilt of their rib cage, that lampshade light would be shining where? Out the front. And if they had a lot of posterior, they're around, then the light would be shining out the back. With stacking, we want to, well, let's do that a couple times in ourselves. And then I want you to come back to tripod foot. Let's start with the inner edges of our feet sort of parallel. You don't have to have them close together, perhaps hip distance apart. And find tripod foot. From there, you might need to do a little pelvic tilt back and forth before you can find a neutral pelvis. Maintain tripod foot, that weight arriving first in your heels. We're reaching into the front 2 points of the foot, pinky toe, big toe. Maintain neutral pelvis. And then play with the rib cage a little and find a neutral rib cage. So that light is shining down into a neutral rib cage. And then we have the head. What we'd like to feel with the head is that it becomes effortless. The head weighs a lot. And so if we can bring the ears over the shoulders, the back of the head a little more in line with the sacrum, we can find a place where it feels like weight is arriving in the head in its most effortless space. Allow yourself, close your eyes for a moment, come into your system, 3 points of your feet, neutral pelvis, neutral rib cage, and effortless head. Now feel your breath. Staying present here. As you inhale, can you allow the lowest part of your rib cage, 360, to open, primarily to the sides and to the back, as you keep your shoulders and your neck and chest relaxed. Stay here for 2 more breaths. Okay, good. So this is the beginning of understanding what it means to be stacked. And so let's look at that handout right now, that when the core is efficiently stacked, we're going to go to the bottom of the first page where it says postural neutral. So postural neutral relates to the pose I wrote in there, which is what? Tadasana, right? And one of the big concepts that I would like to impart to you from this class is that our yoga practice, on an anatomical level, there's so many things that in how yoga affects us and transforms us. But on this very specific anatomical level, our yoga practice should allow us to have a more efficient Tadasana. So what do I mean by that? Well, let me give you an example. So, okay, right. Well, if I do it, I know, I wasn't going to stand up. If I do, okay. So let's say, okay, let's come back, Tadasana, okay. If I'm somebody who lives, which I did for a long time because I was a gymnast, and this was the shape I found my body in forever. So let's work up my body, okay? Because that's what you always want to do in observation. You start at the feet and you work up. So I'm going to give you a shape. Where's the weight in my feet? Forward. And my pelvis, am I spilling water out the front or out the back? Front. That's called anterior pelvic tilt. And am I shining light out the rib cage in the front or the back? The front. Right? And so for me, and then my head, let's see, where did my head usually? My head was probably like a little bit forward like that. So for me to become more stacked, if you were going to work up my body, what's the first thing you would have me do? Correct my feet by moving weight back into my heel. Okay? So I shifted weight back into my heel. These cues that we're about to do, we'll learn them in time. But the next thing that you would say, and you can see, that just changed me. Just that. And then from there, what would be the next thing if we're working up? Right. So you could say, lift the front of the pelvis a little bit. You could also say, for me, perhaps tone your low belly a bit. Right? The rib cage, let's see what you would say. What would you say for the rib cage? You could say bring your ribs in. That's one. What I really like is breathe into your back ribs. Bring more fullness into the back ribs. And then the tendency that a lot of people say is reach high through the crown of the head. But what a lot of people do with that is extension. And so I like finding that place where gravity just enters most effortlessly, or drawing the ears back over the shoulders and coming into a stacked place. Okay? And so here, if that is Tadasana, that's where I want to move towards, right? Then what if I do a pose like plank? And I do plank, 50 times a week because I practice power yoga. again and again and again and again and again. And here's my plank. So what would you say to my feet? How about reach back through the center of my heel? Because the feet, we're not always in a tripod position, right? We're not always with all 3 points on the ground. However, we can reach energetically through all 3 points equally. And so here, in this position, am I reaching energetically equally through all 3 points? No. So if you said reach back through the center of your heel, that does something. Okay. Or well, I was in this position. Okay, so now, and this might be somebody who, let me give you a better example. So I'm someone who lives like this. So when I do plank, I'm probably going to do plank like this. Does that make sense? Where the first position I showed you, like my natural position, would be more like this, right? And so if I live like this, finding a way where the pelvis becomes more neutral, the ribs become more neutral, the head becomes more neutral. And you can see that this form of plank creates, done, if I do it again and again and again and again, I am building a Tadasana that is stacked. So that's why we're saying, and so what we're going to look at today, because it does start to get more complex when we look at poses that have all different shapes of the spine: flexion, extension, rotation, lateral side bend. Today we're looking at poses that have a neutral spine, meaning they're not in flexion, they're not in extension, they're not rotated, and they're not side bent. They're neutral, okay? Because that's the first place that we can understand stacking. Then, once we can observe that, then we can take it into other poses. Everybody following me? Okay, good. So, it says at the bottom, postural neutral is you start feet. Okay, well, let me talk about that. Petite, can you come up here? We're going to break off into groups. And we're going to do this little party trick around stacking. And you're going to ask, there's going to be 3 people in a group, and the person that is being touched, one person's going to do it, another person's going to observe. You're going to ask them to just do their natural stance, okay? Completely natural. One person's going to come behind them. And the places you want to look are feet, knees, glutes, the seat, and the back. You're going to come behind them, and you're just going to, so when I push on Petite, and she's doing her natural stance, she has a bit of what we call a lumbar break. She pulls back, right? And you can see with Petite, she lives in a bit of extension. These muscles look a little tighter, and she has a little bit of anterior, lift in her ribs, all right? And so that's what is happening in her stack. And so from here, I would ask her, get into the 3 points of your feet. And her hips really look pretty neutral to me, but the big one for her is finding more breath in her back body. And relax your jaw. Yeah. And you don't have to grip too much here, but just really finding that fullness. And it's not like it can necessarily happen in a moment, but as she moves more into being stacked and I place pressure into her body, she's more solid. She's not going to have that break. Okay? So that is what we're going to do. There's one really important point I forgot to say. So when you stack to, the other one that you want to look for is 3 points of the feet, and then the greater trochanter. It is the head of your long thigh bone, your femur. Everybody feel into the side of your hips. There's a sticky outy point of this bone. It's not, no, It's pretty low in the meaty part of the side of your thigh. You guys feel that? That's your greater trochanter. Your greater trochanter should be above. That's how weight arrives into the center of your heel. The greater trochanter is above your lateral malleolus, this point on the outside of the ankle. Some people live, I'm going to push you forward, right this. You're never going to have weight arrive into the center of the heel if that greater trochanter is forward in space. You pull the greater trochanter back over the lateral malleolus, weight arrives into the center of the heel, neutral pelvis, neutral rib cage, head. Okay? Thank you. Then, in your groups of 3, after you guys, now we're really waking up observation. You're just looking. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you were already able to see so much in me. You can start to look at bodies and notice what you notice. You become a much more efficient teacher if you can speak to these things and see these things, but it takes time. Sometimes you're just like, you'll see someone and just be like, whoa, like I don't even know what's going on. Be methodical, feet, hips, rib cage, head. Now from there, after you stack, and we're going to all go around and help you guys, the TAs, you're also going to do some postures and observe there. Here are the postures. The first posture then is, and you guys might want to write this down because I don't think you have it written down, is all fours. Notice what you notice in all fours. Now, my feet, I can't have my 3 points of my feet on the earth and all fours, but I can do it 2 ways. One, I could turn my toes under and be reaching back equally into those 3 points, right? Or I can really press down equally into the tops of my feet. What you will find here is people with really tight ankles are going to do all. If they have tight ankles, they might do all different types of stuff, or if they have pronation in their feet. And so this might be someone who you say, just bring your heels in line with your knees. So you can press them as equally as possible into the tops of your feet. And then you see what's going on in the pelvis, the ribs, the pelvis, the ribs, the head, right? All these different shapes can take place. All fours. Next pose, and what I'm showing you is in order of complexity of what we're asking of the body. Okay? Next pose. Even though this is a hard pose, it asks a lot of our muscles, it's not that complex of a pose. Is Utkatasana. Fierce pose. You can have people take the arms out of it. Arms can really mess up the whole thing. Well, arms will change the whole thing, I would say. So a lot of people might be able to be here, more neutral in their spine, and then they bring the arms in and do, right? So that might be someone who is, if they're working to have a balanced core canister, they really need to bring their arms out because their shoulders are doing something. Now, why? This is what type of pose in terms of the spine? I know I've said it, but it is it's not flexion. Is it flexion, extension? What is it? It's neutral. And why is it neutral?
It's not lengthened, it's not contracting or extending.
True. And it's because the hinge is at the hips, right? Here's the pelvis. That's one movement. Lifting our femur at the base of the pelvic socket is a different movement. And we can still have a neutral pelvis even. So I can come into this pose. I'll take my shirt off. You can see, oh, I won't because I have my thing on. Okay, I can come into this. And do I have a neutral pelvis here? No. Do I have a neutral pelvis here? No. But I can. Can you see that more? Right. What is important to know is that it is never about perfection. And most of us to become more efficient, we first need to know where we are in space. You might not even know that you live more primarily in anterior or posterior. So first, it's just waking these things up. Oh, I live mostly in the front of my feet. Oh, I don't have any weight in my pinky toe, ever. You wake those things up. And then next, it's just about applying a little bit of the opposite so that you're moving in the direction of becoming efficient. It's not like we go from one day we live in this way habitually always, and then we're going to do a posture and figure out all of a sudden our brain's going to completely rewire, because all of this is about brain-body communication, because it's so much of how we live in our bodies is subconscious, right? Because it's about that communication that's all happening behind the veils. So we're waking that up and just becoming a little more efficient, so that as you practice, that's what you're practicing. And that's what over time can continue to transform as you awaken these understandings in your system. Okay, so we have all fours. We have Utkatasana. We have plank. You don't have to do a full plank. What I like with plank is really starting, and why this becomes more complex. Okay, so you can start modified plank. Now, why does this become more complex than Utkatasana? Gravity, right? You have gravity bearing down on your spine, and that brings in much more force. And so it's really easy. People either will go bloop or they'll go boop, and how they habitually manage gravity. Okay? And then you can go to full plank, and then next, down dog. Also a neutral spine pose, but for some people, because of tightness in their back or their hamstrings, the minute they go back, it will no longer become neutral because they'll come into a lot of, what's happening in my pelvis? Posterior tilt. Did somebody say that? Posterior, right? I'm having a lot of posterior tilt here because my hamstrings are tight, and then that's causing my back to come into flexion. Right. But what I could do, to get more neutral, is bend my knees. And then I've taken off that pull in that back body to have a neutral pelvis and more of a neutral spine. The opposite that's common, especially with hypermobility, is that. Anterior pelvic tilt, can you see it? And extension. So those are the poses. So let's break up into groups of 3. Someone's the observer. First, you're just starting with the stacking routine. You've got that written down, and you guys are just going to kind of round robin, and then someone will do the pose, 2 people will watch. One person will do the pose, 2 people will watch, and just go round and round, okay? And then me and the teachers and Samantha and Amy will come around. If you guys need any help, just raise your hand, okay? Remember, first thing is the stacking test, where you're pushing on the person from behind. Everybody start, each person getting a chance to stack, and the other person from behind, press down, and one person watch and see what you see. Oh, and you guys. Okay. So, Paulita, are you there? Because we're going to break up into a group.
Yeah, Paulita's here. I'm just having trouble
Okay,
with my
I'm going to
video.
send you guys into
I can't, my video's not working.
breakout
Yeah.
with Cammy.
My video's not working, so I might have to do all this observation for now.
One second, sorry. I just need to be able to make sure I know what I'm doing. Okay.
You want me to get on the table?
Okay. No, I want you guys in here. No, I want you guys in here.
Okay, so I meant like in the beginning, how you knew it was on the Zoom, do you want us both on here?
As long as one of you is, as long as one of you is and knows what's going on, yeah. I just need somebody seeing it from this side.
Did you not get assigned?
Did you not get assigned, Heather?
Hold on, sorry.
Hold on, sorry.
Can you join, honey?
Can you join, honey? Oh, there we go. Okay. What I see with her, you have a lot of movement in your body. You're mobile. So she can make movement happen really fast. And because of that, just by what she did with her pelvis, it moved a lot in her feet. So because when you're working, and it's working with people that are you hypermobile at all?
I don't know.
But are you flexible? You're very flexible?
I am clearly flexible. I have some stiff areas.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
You look flexible to me. And so someone that's more flexible, they're trickier. Because they can move one thing and then a bunch of other things move.
Like you said in your, like we move around all the
Tension, yes, exactly. When there's excess flexibility, there's tension elsewhere.
somewhere.
But
That makes so much sense in my body now.
yeah. So that's what I would look for with her when she made that. And she looks fairly well stacked, but you asked her to do a subtle movement. She did a big movement, and a lot changed in her feet. So now for you, because you are very mobile, subtlety is good for you because you can make big happen fast.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Sure, of course. Yeah.
Originally, I had her put her weight back into her heels, and
Yeah.
it helps with her alignment.
Yeah.
More with that. Should I continue up?
Yes, you're always methodical. But what I was saying with her was, she looked like that before you asked her to draw it back, and then when she drew back, I saw her feet adjust a lot.
I feel it now.
Yeah. So how does she stay rooted in those 3 points as she makes that adjustment in her hips and keep that more subtle without changing that? Because then you're like this,
Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah.
So you would want to be mindful, like, so you're hearing, like, okay, once you find your feet, keep your feet, and now just think of your hips and where, like, that pull, right? But keep your feet, don't move your feet, right?
I would say maintain the weight for you in your triangle, and for you it looks like the center of your heel. Maintain the weight at the center of your heel. Keep the greater trochanter. So, and for you guys to like see that, is it okay if I touch you there? To like, here's her greater trochanter. She's a little forward, so she could move back just a little bit. Yes. And even moving back a little bit might help. It'll feel weird to people. It feels weird. Right. It might, but that might help her then. So maintain weight rising in your heel, trochanter over your malleolus. And then with your exhale, just tone your belly a little to bring your hips a little more neutral. There you go. There you go. And you can see it, right? She just looks like, yeah. Are you guys good? Any more questions? Okay.
Like I think you're a little bit.
So I think the piece you guys would be really helpful. Tell me your name. Jenna. Yeah. Andrew. Emerson. Okay. This is the piece that I think would be helpful with her. She is naturally externally rotated. There's nothing wrong with that, but it might be helpful just for this to become a little more parallel in your feet. Okay? And then with that, so that even feels unstable, like you immediately want to go to there. And we're gonna make you feel weird. Stacking feels weird when you don't have it. It's like fine tuning little things. Now for her, is it okay if I touch you? Greater trochanter, lateral malleolus, she's forward. Can you see that? So for her to bring the greater trochanter over the lateral malleolus more to get more weight into your heels.
Even more? Or is
That looks better. Okay. Now when she does that, what do you see happen with her pelvis? Right. So she has, she has posterior tilt.
Oh.
You're more like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so can you see it? When we made the adjustments up, that shows that that's more where your pelvis lives.
Okay.
Okay? And so it would be good for someone with posterior tilt. It can be hard to even find what does anterior tilt feel like. So I would say let it all go.
Okay.
Do some back and forth.
Yeah.
And then stack again. Find the 3 points. Find greater trochanter over lateral malleolus. And see if you can just balance your pelvis a little more. Use your breath. Okay, she looks a little more balanced there. But I see now, like she's shining the light out a little forward. So can you breathe into your back ribs? That looks better. And just finding that place where your ears, okay, so bring your ears back over your shoulders just a little bit, but like in a soft way. She looks a little more stacked, but there is more support over time that can come into her core. Can you see that in the front of her core? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm too, like,
well, it's the rib piece a little bit. Yeah.
I have pectus sciaticum.
Oh.
It's, it's like sunken rib bone.
Yes.
So,
okay, so that makes sense.
So naturally I have flared ribs.
Right.
I feel like I have flared ribs too.
Yeah.
Just the one side, really.
Yeah.
And that's why it's beautiful. All bodies are different.
Yeah.
And finding that place that.
Yeah. So like my rib bone goes
Yeah.
all the way into there. So
Right.
it's like really far back.
Right.
And my ribs come out. Can I show you?
Yeah.
They come out here. Yeah.
So that'll be really interesting. We're going to do this one thing today, and I'll be very curious to see how it feels for you to do some work in opening your back ribs.
Yeah.
Because your ribs have formed in a way that's going to keep you tight in your back.
Yeah.
And with that, maybe there's, everybody forms differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm interested.
Yeah.
I had a question. Is
Yeah.
extension bad? Or
there is no such thing as bad movement. There's no such thing as bad movement, but living in extension isn't efficient.
okay.
Right? Yeah. Because if we live, the power of the diaphragm is for all of the muscles to be able to contract on inhalation at their full capacity and to release on exhalation in their full capacity. Now, if you live in extension, feel that in your body, do you think your back muscles of your diaphragm, those fibers, could contract at their full capacity? No. Right. So you're limiting efficiency. Make sense? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Oh wait, I'm gonna grab my drink. Yeah, sorry. I'm gonna come be with you guys. So what do you see? Right. And what could that maybe tell you? What do you think, if you were just, this isn't even part of class, but what could that tell you about her ankle? Which side looks tighter and which side looks more open? Right. This side of the ankle looks longer. This side of the ankle looks shorter. Do you see that? That might tell you something about how weight arrives in her feet, too. You know, she might have more weight that arrives on the outside edge of her feet. So, but what you could tell her is to, and this will feel really weird, ankles are they're tricky. But yeah, is to see if she could reach her toes straight back a little more. And it's okay if you have to lift your ankle a little for her toes to reach straight back. And I would lift this ankle a little bit so that they get more even. That's hard. But if she keeps reinforcing and reinforcing that other way, then she's continually supporting extra length on that side and tightness on that side. And that would make me want to look at what was happening in her feet. That's a lot of information, I know. Okay. What about her pelvis? Are you getting tired? You can come out whenever you need to. She looks pretty darn neutral. The only thing I would say is she could get a little more, like as you exhale, just tone your low belly a little bit more. Draw it back and up, your low belly, draw up towards your spine. So you get a little fuller through here. Yeah. But she looks good. It was more her ankles. Yeah. Huh? Oh, you broke your ankles? Yeah. So that you'll find that with injuries. That there's usually, you know. Okay. Tell me everyone's name again. Maddie. Maddie. Yes. Tell me your name. Maya. Maya. Paige. Paige. Okay. Yep. So similar to hers, and it's showing some tightness somewhere. So it could, for her, I don't know why I think this, but it looks like the tops of her ankles are a little more tight, and she's moving around that. Because she had her ankles all the way down to the ground, and they still did that. She's buckled a bit, and she just looks tighter in her ankles, and I think she could straighten more easily. She had a harder time straightening because it seemed more in the joint. And what do you see? I would say she looks pretty neutral. Tiny bit of posterior tilt. I don't know why I think that, but a tiny bit, like you can just see a little bit of like rounding back. Now, Paige, can you go into plank? Yeah. So can you lift the front of the pelvis a little bit? And equal the weight. I would walk your feet back just there you go. Walk your feet back just a little bit. Reach back through the 3 points of your feet. Use that to drive weight forward and back. There, looks pretty darn good. But keep lifting as you exhale. Tone your belly and lift the front of your pelvis. That there. Try to do it without squeezing your seat. So see if you can find a way to do it with your breath as you exhale. Tone the belly. Yeah. Good. Huh? Well, for you, it's easy to squeeze your bum because you have a little bit of posterior tilt. Exactly. And so your tush is a little tighter in the back, and it can find that squeeze. Where it's harder to find the support of the core because of that is just core, is transverse. As you exhale, you find transverse, drawing up and supporting you.
an imbalance in the transverse plane in the pelvis. So like my right pelvis sticks out further back than my left does. And it also like it goes until I'm duck footed and it like swings out that way the whole time. It's been like that for a long time.
So that's rotation. So we haven't, right, we haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah, that's why I did an aside for it.
Right, so, you know, the pelvis can do a lot of things. We're just focusing on anterior and posterior, but the pelvis can rotate.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about is rotation a bit. And it can also have a hip hike. So that's more of a side bend where one side lifts more than the other.
Yeah, okay. I'm just wondering what I
And if you...
affect it, too. It's just like that, even at neutral, laying down on my stomach and stuff. One side is like that.
So what I would really work with is your feet in every pose.
Gotcha.
Because it's translating into your feet. And so finding how you're compensating in your feet in all your poses and really working on tripod foot. That's the first place you have to start.
And then even how I lift my foot and not letting it swing out like that. Because it gives me knee pain too. Just like I can
You mean in walking?
Yeah.
Yes. In walking, you want to have heel strike, pinky toe mound, big toe mound.
Gotcha.
Heel strike, pinky toe mound, big toe mound. Changing gait is very complex. It takes a long time. And what you would have to do is do some intentional walking very regularly, slowly, where you don't have on shoes, because shoes change everything, and find that you're really reaching first, center of heel, pinky toe mound, big toe mound. That's the trajectory. Okay, we are going to do a foot part, I think. Do we get to feet in here? I think we do. Cool. Yeah, we do feet. But that's what I would recommend. And even if you did a walk back and forth right now and you found center, and try not to be too stiff,
Yeah.
but it's weird.
And I'm just so used to it, just like slightly going. I'm exaggerating it right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
But just play with that. That if you made that like part of a meditation where you're doing heel strike and those 3 points, really helpful.
Great.
You'll keep waking that up. And use the ball.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry to interrupt. Tell me your name. Shipra. Teresa. So nice to meet you. You're Teresa that's just coming into like you did the program last time?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, I'm so glad you're yeah, that's so good. Okay, do you guys have any questions? How did that seem to you?
It was good practice. I feel like we were lacking the words.
Oh yeah.
Adjustment.
You're gonna lack words. That's okay. We're not really working on words, we're working on observation.
Yeah.
Words come later.
Yeah.
That curiosity of like,
Just seeing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
saying, oh, that looks like you could do this, but we couldn't have.
Right, and being able to just see bodies. Yeah. And the truth is there's no normal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and then even noticing like in our own selves, like we might be doing something because we're like hypermobile.
100%.
Like,
And hypermobile is the trickiest
yeah.
because when you move one thing, then a lot of other things move. So hypermobile people, are you hypermobile?
Yes.
Yeah, so it is the most complex of stability.
Yes, and I've learned in PT and over the years, just like don't do certain things because or until I could get more practice with it. But just like a back bend, like I used to be like, I can just do this, but I would do it really
Right.
arching too much and then having
driving stuff into one area.
So
Yes.
now I'm just like,
Well,
how do you do it? And like, if you can't do it in the proper form, then should you be doing it that way?
well, you're really more prone to injury than
Yes,
anybody
exactly.
else.
Yes.
Yes. No, hypermobile people are much more at risk of injury. They're your most difficult students. And it's hard to learn because their body doesn't give you as much feedback. Because like if you're stiff and you're tight, the body gives you a lot of information. When you're hypermobile, the body doesn't give you a lot of information until usually things are past the point of balance. And one of the best things for someone who is hypermobile is to create a very stable core canister. So this part's really important. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
if someone just says parallel feet.
I say that all the time. Yeah,
But
inner
not-
edges of your feet
You
parallel.
say inner edges, but I was trained outer edges.
Oh.
And other people say outer edges. And so it's so subtle, but it's very different for each body. So
It's
then
so,
was-
I
when
know,
was
it's
talking to them,
very
I said,
hard.
Just say parallel your feet, but then really anchor the 3 points.
I don't think it matters.
Right,
Yes.
that part I didn't know. Just parallel your feet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's very subtle, and everyone's gonna, parallel for me is right here. If you obviously see it, you're like, parallel your feet.
Right.
But if it's just very, here's your parallel.
Yeah.
It's more than anchoring your 3 feet.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I like, I was taught outer edges, and I really, you probably barely would even see where that is different for me. And so it's probably how do you find the arrival of the weight best?
The arrival of the weight best is in the 3 points with all arches being activated.
Right, and so
but then
wherever
it's too
that-
many words.
Yeah, too many words. But I just mean, so you don't have to say outer or inner edge. I would
Right,
think now
just
I'm saying
parallel.
parallel.
Right.
Because then someone's going to then work on those points and not adjust it.
Sure. Yeah.
So like, you were a little bit like this, and then your heels back. And then also, if my wrist is first thing,
2 more minutes.
It says when you're doing a plank, your heels should be over your toes. You had us extending our toes. Because I did it, like I thought they kind of said how to do it. And then they're like, doesn't look quite right. And then they had me come more forward.
So I will tell you, I am, what's the word? I'm not always going to agree with your book. And
What your idea is of how the plank should be, because the way you did it, like, it felt like it resonated with me, but that's not how I learned it.
okay, so sure. Okay, what doesn't what? I'm sorry, say that again.
I was trying to get my heels back.
No. So my heels, I still want, so I'll have you come down and I'll show you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm not asking you to, so okay, number one, I have flexible toes because I have worked the flexibility of my toes. That is an important thing. My toes can live at 90 degrees. Some people's toes can't live at 90 degrees.
Yes.
Okay, so my toes can live at 90 degrees and I have equal energy reaching into the 3 points of my feet. Big toe mound, pinky toe mound, heel. Now that doesn't mean this. And that looked like what you were trying to do a little more. And if I do that, then I have more weight, more energy pushing through the center of my heel, and that's not balanced. Right. Yeah. Now, but what you see a lot of people do with plank is this. And all the weight is in their wrists and their shoulders, and there's not much happening in the legs and in the feet. Their feet aren't awake. And this is really painful in my body.
I think that's what I did.
Right. I don't, sorry, I didn't hear you. So you went up, you said a lot of people go up under like toes. No, you look, well, they shift their weight into their wrists and their shoulders, right? I have all my weight here, and I'm not working in my feet here. And then, if I'm not working in my feet, it's really hard to neutralize my pelvis, to neutralize my ribs. And now I'm distributing the weight, and that's what we're about to talk about.
What
The-
if, could you try to have them press their pelvis up towards their ribcage?
Maybe. If they live in anterior pelvic tilt, then they can draw the front of their ribs towards their front of their pelvis towards their low ribs. Now, if they live in posterior tilt, and like I'm saying, this is hard for class. I'm not giving you necessarily blanket directions that you can just say to every single body in a class. This doesn't work. This is about being able to observe bodies. So you might give a direction to class and then go over to her and say, now for you, I want you to do this. Because there's no one direction.
Okay,
but you're saying if you see people like this, yes, it's going to be helpful. Draw
the, the rim of your pelvis towards your ribs. I just became more balanced. But if I live like this, and you're saying draw your pelvis towards your ribs, then I'm just more like that.
I see that. I see.
Yeah.
Hey guys, will you analyze mine?
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Okay, one last. Questions? No? Okay.
I have a question about holding one's breath.
Okay, later. Yeah. Common, very common. People holding breath is very common.
It's a common question.
It's a common thing that people do.
But when one does it intentionally, I'm a swimmer and I
Oh.
was swimming for 2 hours yesterday, and I tried to do the 25 meters sometimes without taking a breath. And since seeing all of your videos on swing, which by the way are very great, I really like them.
Oh, good.
Very much. And so I'm very mindful.
I think so there's two different things, and I'll just say this. We're talking about biomechanics in these videos. What you're talking about is physiology, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so when you're not holding your breath, if you have good biomechanics, then that's going to support your physiology. Does that make sense? Okay, we can talk about it later, but they are two different things. Because holding breath is how that is affecting your physiology.
That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Like what happens when
It's a very good thing for your body.
well, I mean, as soon as breath came out by James Nestor, I
Yeah.
realized obviously that I'm a swimmer because
Yeah.
breath is such a part of swimming.
Yeah.
And so I'm really good at holding my breath for a long time.
But what matters, so that's amazing, but what matters with breath holding is then it's a bigger discussion around CO2 tolerance and also how you're breathing when you're not holding your breath. But breath holding is amazing for you, but also paired with how you then breathe when you're not holding your breath. Because the higher you can have CO2 tolerance, that's the whole James Nestor understanding and some other. I'm sad because I did have a lecture about that coming up, but we took it out this year. But it's about being able to have higher and higher CO2 tolerance, and that is healthy for the nervous system, it's healthy for everything. But it's a different thing than biomechanics. The two go together, yeah.
My question was like how it affects physiology because I get it, it's different.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good for you. And very few people have it. It's called CO2, the ability to handle higher quantities of CO2 in the system. Positive. Hi, everybody. I guess you didn't have a group, huh? Oh, wait. I guess you didn't have a group. Sorry. Because I just saw Paulita walk in.
No, we did.
Yeah, Heather and I were together.
We just weren't sure how long it was, if we were going to be brought back or if we were supposed to just leave.
Oh.
We didn't decide, but I brought you back. Okay. Yay. Okay, so was that interesting? And as you see, I feel like I'm, let's turn that. Wait. Why am I hearing myself?
You should mute you here.
I did.
You're muted on your computer?
I'm muted on my computer, but I hear like a reverb.
I did too. You're muted on your computer for sure. Is there anything on your phone?
Hello? Hello? So weird.
Oh, but that's gonna be when they can't hear you. That is weird.
Hello?
Yeah.
I stopped, I think.
Let's try this.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what
Turn
it
it all the way
is.
down.
That's what it is. Okay, yeah. Okay. Technology. All right. So let's review the principles. Well, I wanted to say one thing. Someone said, okay, that was really interesting, but I don't have the words. That's okay. That's what you're in YTT. You're slowly going to be learning the words or in finding words. And what you will see is that one of the handouts that you have, that I gave you, is cues, specifically. And so before our next get together on Zoom, I'm going to have you read through those. And so that starts to give you ideas of ways you can speak to the feet, the pelvis, the ribs, head, and breath, okay? And what's important, you know, what I gave you are my cues, some of the cues I use. But over time, you find your way of speaking. You find your words. You find whatever feels natural to you. But if you can wake up what you see, that's first. So don't worry about not necessarily having the words, you know. If you can see it, the words will come. Much harder to see. So let's talk about principles of when the core canister is efficiently stacked. And this has to do with sthira sukha. So number one, and you could take notes if you want. I think I refer to them a bit in that sheet that I gave you guys, but I'm going to go in a little more deeply, is that when the core is efficiently stacked, it works as an energy transfer system. It is a system. All these muscles working together efficiently work as a very strong system between the upper and the lower body. And therefore, it's able to transfer load, meaning if I do plank in this way, where is all my weight arriving? What's going to like really start to hurt over time? Low back and wrists. My wrists are killing me. And my shoulders are working really hard, okay? Now when I get stacked, I have just efficiently transferred the load of the weight of my body and gravity through my legs, through my core to my arms through my core to my legs. I have distributed weight and energy, okay? That's how efficient core works. Think of, so something that I love to do is I analyze movement, and I love to watch professional athletes because they just blow my mind in what they're capable of. And like, think of a basketball player running down, halfway down the court, stopping, bending their knees, taking a ball, and chucking it all the way across, making a three-pointer. How do they do that? If their core was not efficient, would they be able to leap as high as they do, send all that force and energy through their arms that's transferred into the ball, and make it into the hoop? It is that energy transfer system through the core that allows that to happen. Can you see that? Okay. And that is the quality of, would you say, sthira or sukha? Sthira, stability, right? Okay. The next one is going to be pretty obvious when I ask that question. Spinal stability, spinal stiffness. So an efficient core creates what is spinal stability by upregulating intra-abdominal pressure. So when we just breathe normally, the respiratory diaphragm's coming down, the pelvic floor is going down, vice versa as we exhale, and intra-abdominal pressure stays pretty consistent, okay? But if you're a power lifter and you bend down to lift, you are going to lift on what? The inhale or the exhale? You're going to lift on the exhale, right? And you are going to upregulate the pressure in your core to stabilize your spine. So your spine isn't doing this as you have this tremendous weight overhead. So when you keep that exhale and that deep tone in the core, you have upregulated spinal stiffness. And that, a functional core, then this is stira, right? Okay. Another one you could imagine is, all these examples, think of a baseball player, right? They're doing this crazy twist in their spine. Same side, repetitive, 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 repetitive. If they didn't have an integrated, strong core, all that mobility would probably cause a lot of injury into the spine, and they certainly wouldn't be able to hit a home run. To be able to transfer all that energy, legs through the core, up the arms, extension into the bat, hit the ball. It's from spinal stiffness. All right, so those are the stira aspects of an efficient core. The sukha aspects, so then this is what we want. For a core to be efficient, it has to have both sides. The sukha aspects are visceral mobility, right? We want a supple core because we want our organs to have what's called slide and glide. Think about a baby. Their little organs, when a healthy baby, they're moving all over the place. They're so soft. And over time, if we become more rigid, or we have inflammation, or we have tension in fascia, things don't slide and glide as well. We don't digest as well. We don't eliminate as well. Health on a visceral level is about mobility, not excess mobility. So people who have excess mobility, they can have issues with too much mobility in their viscera, but we want to maintain that suppleness so our organs are sliding and gliding. And what could you imagine out of what we've been talking about really helps that? Breath, movement of the diaphragm, right? A diaphragm that contracts well, the ribs open, and then ascends nice and high as the ribs come back down, that is constantly massaging our organs. And by massaging our organs, it's massaging our heart, and it is really supporting our circulation. So when our diaphragm works really efficiently, the pump of our heart doesn't have to work as hard, and it's critical for lymphatic movement in our body, and we'll talk more about that. Next, well, so that's sukha, and I went into the next thing, which is breath. And so a supple core allows for coordinated breath and the reflexive relationship between the respiratory diaphragm and the pelvic floor diaphragm to achieve full efficient breath. And reflexive, this word reflexive is the same as like automatic. We want a core that knows at which degree to turn on based on the task at hand. So if we are doing dishes in the kitchen, do we need our core to be at a barometer 10? No. But some people live at a barometer 10 because they've worked their core really hard. And, and having this really strong core and this big six-pack, you can still have a six-pack and be supple, but a lot of people out there, if they've worked really hard, they might have lost that quality, okay? But if you're going to power lift, in that moment, you're not telling your core, okay, let's go. Your body just knows what to do. That's what you see that in a lot of professional athletes. They've really trained this reflexive core, and that is something that we'll continue to work on and understand how that comes into play in asana. But in terms of asana, if you are doing a yin pose on your back with a bolster, does your core need to work really hard? No. But what if you are attempting to do dancer pose? Right? You need more core engagement. Not so much that you're not breathing or you're so tense, but that it's efficient for the system. And the last thing is trunk mobility, right? It's all those muscles working together. The back muscles, the core canister, the diaphragm, the respiratory diaphragm, that help to create these movements that we do with our spine. Flexion, extension, side bending, and rotation, okay? And so trunk mobility has everything, how mobile our trunk is, has everything to do with the length, tension relationships within our core. And so we looked at this antagonistic relationship between the diaphragm and the transverse, right? Well, let's just say one muscle. Let's not do two muscles at a time. A muscle is healthy and efficient if it can have its maximal contraction and its maximal length, okay? But if it lives in a state of contraction, I live in a state of posterior tilt in my pelvis because, maybe you see me and I'm like this, posterior tilt in my pelvis, because my glutes are always contracted and my pelvic floor is tight. So that is a state of continual contraction. Therefore, it's not the healthiest state of a muscle, and then it affects everything else, because everything affects everything in our bodies. Everything affects everything, okay? So if that's in that state, then where my lampshade might be like this, or let's talk about the abdominal muscles. Let's just say rectus abdominis, this long muscle right here. It's shorter. It's shorter. See, here's the muscle. So rectus abdominis is this muscle right here. And if I'm pulled continually in a pelvic tilt, I have just shortened this muscle, right? And then, can I get a full breath? Not really. And can I have efficient intra-abdominal pressure? Not really. So if I go to lift something heavy, am I more at risk in my spine? Yes.
So does that happen if people do like just lots of crunches and nothing else?
Sure. Or people, so she's saying, does that happen? Oh, well, I don't know what the mic is. The question was, does that happen when people just do lots of crunches and nothing else? Yes, it happens when people think about someone who maybe just does ultramarathon runner and sits a lot and doesn't do anything else. Like, that's one of the brilliant aspects about yoga, is that it's asking our bodies to change shape in so many different ways and wake up all these different ways that we have this capability of moving. And now I'm going to say, But how can we do that most efficiently? Because it's really not important what shape you make. That's one of the things that you'll hear from me, is that there is no goal, there is no right shape. It is about creating the shape that's right for your system. And everybody's different. And just moving a little bit more towards efficiency. And waking up how you live in your body. And also looking at your repetitive patterns. Some of us have to be repetitive. Some of us, like, Sam's a chef. There's certain things, right, Sam, that you do again and again and again because of her work, or if you have a computer job, or if you're a truck driver, or whatever. I mean, there are just things that cause our bodies to assume these shapes again and again and again. And then if that's the case, then we then we need the opposite. We need the opposite. Or else we're just moving in a direction over time that isn't beneficial. Okay. So now we're going to start to play, and hopefully we'll get through the rest of it. Everybody has foam roller, right? Okay, I don't, because I gave you mine, but that's fine. What I want you to do, well, let me just see this one really quick. Can I borrow this, Lisa? We're going to start with the erectors. Okay, remember those muscles on the sides of the ribs? You're going to sit on your foam roller, and you're just going to slowly take your time. Now, some of you have the rollers with the pokey things, and those are a little harder. And I want you to just take some time, breathe, and roll out the full length of your erectors. And if you have to share, you got to share. And as you full length of your erectors. Okay, and so I want everyone to listen while I'm I want everyone to listen while you guys are doing that. So as we move into, oh, I forgot, shoot. We'll read about that in a minute. I'm going to read to you guys while you do this. So what we're working on right now is what's called restoration principles. And what are we restoring? What are we restoring? Anybody? As you roll on your erectors, what would you think that you're restoring? Absolutely. So what we're restoring, that's one big point. What we're restoring is brain-body connection. Okay? We are waking that up. And how you can always wake up brain-body connection is with feedback. You are using something that is giving you a lot of feedback into that specific area of the body, just like we did with the Super Ball, into your feet. Okay? That helps your brain connect into that area. Now, what's really important when you do this kind of work is you're working with your brain, you're working with your nervous system. And when you're working with your nervous system to create brain-body connection, you want to remain calm. You want to be able to breathe. So if you go into an area and all of a sudden you're like, it's horrible, so painful, then you're probably not creating a really stable reconnection. Okay? So please listen to your body when we do this work, and only do what feels good, and back out if it's not feeling good. We are going to be doing some abdominal stuff. If anybody has a hernia, if anybody's pregnant, anything like that, please don't do the abdominal stuff, okay? All right, so we've woken up the erectors. The other thing that doing this work does is, I don't know who said it in terms of blood flow,
But this hydrates the tissue, okay? And tissue becomes hydrated through movement. Yes, do we need hydration? Of course we need hydration. But how tissue becomes hydrated is through movement. And what movement then does is it restores the fluid dynamics. Tissue has to have fluid in it. And what is that fluid? That fluid is blood, and that fluid is lymph. And that carries nutrients in, which is what? In yoga? Prana. And it takes waste out, which is what? Apana, right? And so we're restoring fluid dynamics, hydrating, and creating that brain-body connection. Okay, now that you've done the erectors, we're going to do something spicy. Again, please only do what feels right. We're going to do the 2 balls in the sock. Is this one yours? Yes. Okay, I want him, the 2 balls need to be tight, and now we're going to feel into multifidus. So have your sock be tight, your 2 balls right next to each other, and you're going to start at above your sacrum at L1. And you're going to slowly, we're not rolling here. We're lying on the balls, and we're letting the balls sink into the spine with breath. Now, this can be really intense for you, so only do what feels right. If you need to go back to the erector work, go back to the erector work and work up the spine really slow, and it will give you information. Again, it is about keeping your nervous system relaxed. If you need to step your feet flat, do that. You can lift your hips a little for more pressure or less pressure. And slowly, vertebra by vertebra, you're working the balls up the spine. Remember, we started with the erectors because they are more superficial, and now we've gone deeper into the multifidus. No, the balls are on either side of the sticky outy point at the center of your vertebra. So you're in between the vertebra. You just know that you're not right pressing into your spine with the balls. The balls are on either side of your spine.
Well, this works that too, right?
I've never seen that.
A wedge.
Okay.
I do the same thing with it.
I'm curious. And so just take your time, and you're giving yourself feedback into the back of the spine. Ooh, that's really pointy though. My goodness, yeah.
It's a lot of feedback.
Yeah, that's a lot of feedback. We're going to take a few moments here. So you're not rolling, you're lying on the balls, and you're letting the balls come in. It's like your body is accepting the ball, deepening into the tissue. Slowly come up point by point. And everybody will have different feelings about it. And you might get to one point, you might get to one area that starts to perhaps refer some pain someplace else, and that's not a good place to hang out on for too long. And that might just show you, oh, that's a point of your spine that needs some support, and maybe you could just go back to the roller in that area. You go all the way up into the thoracic, and yep, and the thoracic might be really intense for some of you. Sure. Maybe they said it specifically for you. Yeah. I think that we all have to be careful for sure, but no, I mean, I've done it a lot and done it with clients a lot, so I've never really had that issue. Yeah. Yeah. No, but I'm curious. I don't know. I can't speak to it. Yeah. Thank you for asking, though. Okay, let's move towards the neck, and then I'm going to show you one last special place in the neck to really work on. So one more minute here. And so what we're doing here is we are restoring, creating what's called down training of muscles. And so I'm going to read something to you as soon as we get our neck set up. So what I would like you guys to do is, in the next moment or two, is to find your block. And you're going to take your balls, you're going to lay your block flat. Your head is going to come on your block. I'm just going to show someone real quick with this. You're lying on your block, your head is on your block, and your balls are right between the base of your skull, your occiput, and your first cervical vertebra. And so it's block and then balls. It's going to pull your head forward a bit, but what you want to feel is that it's releasing the back of the head. Your occiput is coming down towards the block. The balls are on the block right between the base of your skull and your occiput. You look a little low, Katie. I'm going to pull you back a little.
Okay.
Okay. It's more like that.
It's more like that?
Yeah, and I'm going to pull this block back further. There.
So it goes this way.
Well, you don't have to tuck your chin, but it will make it tuck a little.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like the back of the head becomes heavy. You don't have to tuck the chin, just let it release. Can you sense that a bit?
Mm-hmm.
Soften your jaw. Soften your facial muscles. Once you feel like you've gotten to a comfortable spot with it, you can do some nods of yes, very slowly, very gently. And so come out whenever you need to. I'm going to read. So what we're learning right now are what is called principles of down training and up training. What you're doing right now is down training. And down training is called releasing tension and rigidity. This is a process of down training our system. When we down train, we lengthen and release within our structure, our breath, our nervous system, and our mind. In the process of down training, we are restoring mobility to the body, sukha, and we are quieting the activation of musculature by softening lines of tension within the body so as to support optimal length tension relationships. So right now you're down training. And that's just by allowing those balls to sink in, that fascia, those muscles to gently release. Good. And when you're ready, I'll have you roll to one side and come back to a seated position. And in a seated position, sense into your spine with your breath. And gently find that floaty space of the head where the ears come back over the shoulders. And that space we just worked in, it's like it's a little more open, and the occiput can move back in space
just like the tiniest bit, which will draw the chin down. And there's also a little tiny lift of the occiput, that bone at the back of the head, up off of the spine. Okay. Next, we're going to, oh, right. Well, and so what sort of poses then would support down training of those muscles as well? What could you imagine?
Shoulder stand?
That's maybe and maybe not. Who said shoulder stand? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. That's, so I would say not necessarily, unless someone really, 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 really knew what they were doing. Yeah.
Supported bridge, supported fish.
So, good thought, wrong direction. Okay? So that is more flexion, right? Down training, those muscles, down training, remember, release rigid and tension. That's more cat. So feel into that. Feel how you just created that openness in your erectors and your multifidus? Do a cat. See how you're moving now? That's down training that muscle. What about going back into pose of a child now? But a pose of a child where your knees are close and you have more flexion in your spine. What about coming up slowly and doing a forward fold? But this time when you do a forward fold, you do it with flexion, because there's lots of ways to do a forward fold. You can do a forward fold with a neutral spine. You can even do a forward fold with an extended spine if you have a lot of flexibility. I want you to do a forward fold with a lot of flexion. So you're rounding. And then next would be like a seated forward fold, maybe like in a yin class where you have lots of props and you have you've built the blocks up under your head and you can just rest in flexion. There you're releasing perhaps rigid that has come into those spinal muscles. Exactly, you could use the foam roller or something. Okay, everybody feel that? That's down training. Those muscles. All right, now let's look at the abdominal muscles. Here we're going to have to share. Oh, can you guys, Sam, or can you hand out the Pilates balls? Have a partner, and I'll take one. If you have one, that's amazing. You might want to let some air out of that one. Just, I mean, you can use it, but that's going to be intense. Okay, this might not be something that anyone's done in here before. I don't know.
Should I do every other first thing?
Yeah. Have a partner. Did you bring one? Oh, great. Okay, yeah. Just like we use those two little balls to deepen in, about to lie face down on these balls. The more full your ball is, the more intense it's going to be. And it can feel, I'm telling you, it can feel not very nice at first because you're getting into the organs. But these are the places we're going to release. You're going to start just above the pubic bone. So you don't have the ball on any of the bony structures. You don't have it on your pelvic bone. You don't have it on your ribs. You have it in your abdomen. Okay? There's 6 places. Right at your pubic bone, and what's best to do is to lie on it, and it's almost like you're scooping those muscles away from the pubic bone, because remember, the rectus and the transverse attach on the inside, so if you lay down and then you kind of scoop up,
you're getting that nice fascial pull. And then here off to one side and off to one side. Remember, the pelvis is kind of like this. So it's here, here, and here. What are the muscles to the attachments that you would be releasing off to the side? Your psoas. And for people with tight psoas, or any kind of misalignments in the hips, really, really supportive to get the psoas more balanced. Because if you have misalignments in your hips, one side of your psoas is going to be tighter than the other. Then, just at the xiphoid process, and then under your ribs on your right, under your ribs on your left. When you come in, you're just breathing and you're trying to allow the ball to sink in more deeply. Okay? Take it slowly. Again, pregnancy, hernia, no go. You can try it. It'll be kind of pointy because there's a lot, it's pretty tough, but see how it feels. If you have to go to the bathroom, I'd go to the bathroom. Because I have to go to the bathroom, and I was like, oh wait. All right, I'll be right back. You're just lying on it and letting it deepen, and if you need less pressure in your ball, let some air out. If you need more pressure, yeah. And when you lie on it, I would say stack your hands and let your forehead rest, if you can. Stack your hands, let your forehead rest. You could try that one too. That's not a bad option. Yeah, yeah. And if you're not going to use that one, maybe share it with someone else if you don't mind. Just breathe. And now when you use the ball a little more off to the side, you're also getting into the the obliques. Okay? We'll do this for just a couple more minutes. I know the temperature is like. Okay. So, what poses would support what we call down training? Release tension and rigidity from the abdominal muscles. Cobra. Exactly. What else? Let's do some together. So you just open your abdomen. Now let's feel into those poses. Let's start with Sphinx. And now what I'm going to tell you in Sphinx is a cue that you might not usually hear. Start low. And as you come up, draw your low pelvis with you. So your low pelvis is drawing towards your ribs. Now breathe into your back ribs and become longer in your spine to lengthen your abdominal muscles. Now it is easier to just drop down. You could do the opposite. Let's try the opposite where you're really dropping down into more extension. But can you see how that might drive more into your back? Now try the other way. Lift the front of your pelvis a bit. Breathe into your back ribs and lengthen your spine to lengthen your abdominal muscles, because the shape itself is creating length in your abdominal muscles. Does that speak to you guys a bit? A lot of times I feel like we instruct the stretch. Don't have to instruct the stretch. The stretch is happening. The shape is creating stretch. How do we create the most efficiency with the shape? Right? We can get a big stretch by coming into a lot of anterior pelvic tilt and pushing the ribs forward. But is that creating a balanced core as much as neutralizing the pelvis a bit, breathing into the back ribs, and lengthening the abdominal muscles, and keeping the spine long? Okay, that was a tangent. Now try Cobra. See if you can just keep some of those qualities there. The next would be camel. Now, if we think about the psoas for a moment, the psoas can do a lot of things in terms of the shapes that it causes people to create in their pelvis. But one common thing is if the psoas is tight, it can really create a lot of anterior tilt. Can you see that? Can you picture that? Where like the psoas is attaching to the lower vertebra of the spine, it's drawing down through the hips, and it's attaching to the top inner thigh bone. When that gets tight, it can pull you into anterior tilt. Okay? By releasing what we just did gives us more ability to neutralize the pelvis in this shape. As we go into camel, just bring your hands to your low back. Extension for most people is going to want to pull us into anterior tilt. Can you resist the anterior tilt? Stay long in the spine. Keep fullness in the back body. And lengthen through the abdominal muscles. You might not create as big of a shape. That's okay. All right. Next one, I'm going to have you guys take a tennis ball
out of your sock or a ball. Can I have one of your balls? Thank you. And this is for the posterior pelvic floor and the glutes. What I'm going to have you do is sit your sit bone on a ball and roll your sit bone first. And remember, you can determine how much pressure you put there. You just lift off a little more if you need to. And then roll out your glutes. Your glutes attach at your sacrum and they come out to your greater trochanter. So they're in this direction. So you want to roll that direction. So roll your sit bone and then roll out in the direction of your glute. And breathe. And so could you see that this might be really good for someone who lives like this? Right? They're living with all this tightness here. So having that person find more length and hydration and awareness in this tissue can help them balance their pelvis and then balance their core. Both sides.
If you feel a point of like numb and tingly during this, would you stop moving there and sink, or would you move out of that?
Yeah, I would get a bigger ball that wasn't as hard.
Okay.
And see if you can do it in a way that doesn't create such an intense reaction. Yeah. Because your breath is always the barometer. And I think if you're getting numb and tingly, that's really speaking to nerves to me. And you just have to go slower and not as deep. But that might be good. Something like that. See what that feels like. Okay.
Which direction did you say? I couldn't see.
Out. From the sacrum, out. Like in a diagonal direction. That's how you help to open and expand the glutes. Also a good one for anyone with hip stuff. If you're hip stuff, if you have hip rotation, we haven't talked about hip hike or rotation or any of that stuff yet, we will. Okay, and so some poses that would support that would be a pose of a child, but how? 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 Wide-legged, pose of a child. If you open your legs wide, let's all do that. Feel how you have opened the back of your pelvic floor. Your sit bones have moved apart because your pelvic floor attaches, and we'll learn this, it attaches to your tailbone, it attaches to your sit bones, and attaches to your pubic bone in like a diamond. And so in this position, you can see tailbone to sit bones has grown wider. And your glutes have grown wider, right? So this is a really good down training pose for people with posterior pelvic tilt. Okay, another one would be to come to standing. And wide-legged forward fold. You can use blocks, bend your knees as much as you need to. And notice someone with posterior pelvic tilt coming into a wide-legged forward fold, their tendency will be to tuck their seat in this pose, right? So what could you say? You could help them to get more mobility in their pelvis by bending what? Bend your knees, bend your knees, bend your elbows whenever you need to so that you have freedom in your core. Okay? Notice where your weight is. Find your weight. First, arriving into the center of your heel. Inner edges of your feet parallel. Notice if you automatically internally rotate in your legs and feet here. You don't have to. Well, I'm not. What did you call me last year, Ken? I mean, petite. I can't remember the word. Okay, now I want you to do something differently. I want you to turn your feet externally. I want you to find the weight equally in the 3 points of your feet. I want you to bend your knees as much as you need, and then I want you to slowly bend one knee at a time. Now, as you bend one knee at a time, notice, do you shift all your weight into the foot of the knee that's bent? Try not to. So turn your feet externally even more. Petite, so come up. And then slowly, as you shift the weight into one leg, when you're lunging into one side, I want you to reach back into that opposite straight leg and keep equal weight. You will not shift your hips as much. You can try. I want you to try. You were just like all the way like this. So see if you can come up a little bit. And yeah, from here now, really reach into that straight leg and balance your hips more. Yeah, and move in and out, keeping your hips balanced. Yeah, yeah. And see how you're opening more clearly through the back. Okay. And then another one would be, of course, Malasana. And you can do Malasana on a block, and as many blocks as you need. And I really recommend blocks because there aren't, or to have a block as high as possible so you can feel like what it feels like to come into Malasana and not be in a really flexed position. So come higher, use a block, just see what it feels like. So you can find, beautiful, a neutral pelvis, a neutral rib cage, and widen in that way, and find breath. I would come a step higher. So one of the things that I am never looking for is flexibility. I'm not looking for flexibility in a pose, I'm looking for efficiency and stability. Flexibility is a byproduct. Yoga has, this is a big statement, but it's true, yoga has nothing to do with flexibility. It's not about, it's about the balance of sthira and sukha. Flexibility will come, but not at the detriment of stability. It's about blending the two. Okay. And let yourself come out whenever you're ready. You, as yoga teachers, or saying you're in yoga teacher training, I'm sure you will hear this a lot. I can't do yoga. I'm not flexible. It's a myth. All right. So I'm not going to go, well, okay, do we have time? Yes, we do. Oblique release. We're just going to do a side bend on the bolster. So use your bolster. Come to lie over your bolster. And just allow, so it's the side of your body that's not on the bolster that's getting the stretch. You might want to use a block under your head. You might want to lengthen your top leg away. Try this under your head. Yes, you can reach your top arm away, your top leg away, and just breathing into your side body. Remember, we are down training the muscles of the core canister. Now, we're not going to do the pelvic floor today. That will come in when we do the section on the pelvis. I would let your head rest on something, and a block is a good option. Because again, it's about your nervous system releasing too. Now notice, it's very common especially for people who have this habitual shape in their body, to be in a side bend and to be in a lot of extension. So just notice, is there a lot of extension happening while you're in a side bend? And if it is, maybe you could lift your head a little higher and have less extension. Yeah, do you mind if I touch you? Go ahead. So I would say, because you do have a lot of extension and you found that and you came up higher. So it's a little tricky, right, to find that extension. See, I don't know if you needed to come higher. I think you needed to just feel that you have extension and to balance it. And so breathe into your back ribs more. And relax your shoulder more. Yeah. Does that feel a little better?
It does.
Yeah. And then let's switch to the opposite side. And now, a good thing to feel in poses like this while you're down training is the movement of your diaphragm. Because as we open the core, that's what we are hoping to create, is more efficiency, mobility, and strength within the diaphragm. So as you're in a side bend, can you feel, as you inhale, remember that sense. Remember how we showed the diaphragm moving. You inhale, diaphragm moves down, ribs move out. Exhale, the diaphragm rises up, it domes up, and the transverse gently tones. I'll read this one last time. This is the process of down-training our system. When we down-train, we lengthen and release tension within our structure, our breath, our nervous system, and our mind. In the process of down-training, we are restoring mobility to the body. We are quieting the activation of the musculature by softening lines of tension within the body so as to support optimal length-tension relationships. Okay. And now coming up. And now we're going to focus specifically on the respiratory diaphragm. You're going to take your blanket. You're going to open it to here. I just took your blanket. I'm going to show you. And then you're going to roll it. And then you're going to roll it, and you're going to create, for me, I probably would do that in half. So I would do it to here and roll it. And you're going to create a horseshoe. Okay? And that I'm going to lie on this horseshoe, and the horseshoe is going at my ribs. So it's not in my abdominal muscles. It is on the lowest point of my ribs, and it's at the xiphoid process, and it goes down the front of my ribs so that when I lie down, it's on my ribs, because your ribs are a horseshoe in the front. So have it do the full shape of the ribs. Stack your hands. Let your head rest on your hands. Face down. If anybody needs help or they don't feel like they've gotten it, that doesn't look quite right, Ramisa. Come on. Yeah, I think that's too tight. And if you need to open it more, maybe the shape I showed you wasn't right for these blankets. Sorry.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's like,
that looks better.
yeah. And I want your hands by your sides, and you should feel comfortable.
You don't feel much.
Okay, so you're not going to feel much. This is different. Hands at your head. But what you should feel, if you pay attention with your breath, is that your diaphragm in the back is in a more lengthened position. You look too low. Let me have you come up. And with each inhalation, You are allowing the fibers of the back of the diaphragm to lengthen down. So you're in slight flexion. This is at your ribs. Yep. And now rest your head all the way down. There.
Okay.
Does that look a little better? You need a higher, sorry.
Is this better?
I would like a little more flexion in your body, but I feel like these blankets aren't quite right. Let me have you come up a little. There, come back down. Let me try one more time. And so I think that's the right way. And now I want you to bring your mind, that's better, back to the crua. Remember those long ligaments on the back of the diaphragm that attach to the front of the spine. For many people, that is a very tight place. And as you breathe here, I want you to sense the fibers of the back of the diaphragm. And even imagine, if you can't sense them, those long ligaments that are attaching to the front of the spine, all growing longer as your back ribs open. And you release any posterior rib lock, any of those tight spaces of the intercostal muscles between the ribs and the back. They're all expanding. We have most of our lung tissue in the back of our lungs. And so when we lengthen the back body this way, and when we move the diaphragm down this way, we are massaging the back lung tissue. And this really supports our immune system and our oxygenation. Because most of the alveoli, the little sacs that get the oxygen and transfer it into the blood, are in the back of the lungs.
So is this something you'd suggest like doing a couple times a week or so?
This is a great thing for everybody. It's just very down-regulating. Perhaps you feel it, like you want to go to sleep right now. And it's really balancing for the core. And it's great for your lungs and immunity. So yes, it is a pretty standard thing that I recommend to so many of my clients. And it's easy.
How long would you say?
As long as you want to.
Okay. You say clients. Did you ever tell us what you do? Did I miss that?
Oh, I'm a body worker.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't feel any discomfort?
No.
Okay.
Do you feel discomfort?
Yes, but I might be too high up.
I think you're too, well, let's see. You might be too low. Yeah, you're too low. So you need to be totally on your ribs. So let's come. I'm going to step over you. Let's come higher. There. And then this should be more tucked in. Like you're keeping your front ribs. What's happening is you're keeping your front ribs in your body more so that only your side ribs and your back ribs, there, are receiving mobility. Does that feel better? Yeah. Your front ribs are in your body more so that your back ribs are, can I adjust this? You really want a horseshoe, and I'm sorry, I think I told you guys the wrong setting for the blanket. So this is really the right setting. If it's not feeling right, it should look like this. This is the fold. It's half of the length. And then you roll, and then that horseshoe is all along the front of the ribs. And you really want it tucked under on the sides, like all the way down to your hips. Okay, now trim down. Now bring your hands a little more forward so that you're not like keeping yourself as lifted and you're rounding a little more. I think you should tuck under. For women, it would be like the bra strap at the bottom is where it's hitting you. That looks better. How's that feel? Yeah. This is important for you. Okay. You've got the roll right. Now, put this where your lower bra strap would go. And this really, you want that tucked all the way to your hips.
Okay, it's kind of like on mine.
That's fine.
Okay, yeah.
And now bring your hands a lot further forward so your head is really resting on your hands. There. There. That's it. And feel how that is keeping, it keeps the front ribs stabilized so that your side ribs and your back ribs open. That looks so good for you. This is a really good one for you. You look a little low or something. I don't know. I think you need to be a little higher. And I think you, instead of having your head turned to the side, try that. Yeah. Oh, drain. Yeah, okay. But let's see like where your placement was. That looks better. Okay. But it doesn't feel good to have your hands under your forehead?
Not particularly.
Okay. Where does that bother you?
My shoulders are all sorts of screwed up right now.
Okay, how about this? Let's just see. No, too high? Not right. No. Blanket is what you would need. Hmm?
Or like an eye mask.
Yeah. In the future, I don't know if we have one of those right now, but. Okay, everybody, one more minute here. Horseshoe breath. Okay, good. You guys like that one? All right. Let me have you come up.
So are there people that you would suggest shouldn't do that? I mean, probably if you're pregnant, right?
Right.
But besides that?
Nobody comes to mind at the moment. Unless they're uncomfortable, you know? I can't think of anyone. And it just, it just helps you find the back of your diaphragm. It helps you move back in space. So many people, we're all very much more aware of what we see proprioceptively. We see the front of our body. We forget about the back of our body. Even our mind, our brain forgets about the back of our body. Bringing your awareness, just come up right now, and this is the point I'll make, is I want you to set up 2 blocks like this. And if you need more blocks, grab more blocks. You're going to have 2 blocks with your bolster on top. So flat block, flat block. I'll just show you the setup real quick. I'll give this back to you in a moment. Like this. Can I borrow your other block? So it looks like this. This is what I want. 2 blocks and a bolster. Now, if you have bad knees, this might not be an option for you, okay? And you can just do a regular seated position. The other thing that you're going to need is a strap. This is a little high for me, but I want you to come into this kneeling position where you can be neutral in your pelvis and get stacked, okay? Play with that and have your strap ready to reach for. Yep. Then you're going to take your strap. Well, first, everyone I want you to feel the base of your rib cage on the sides. And what you'll feel on the base, feel one side first. You'll feel this little divot right before the end of your ribs. You feel that little divot? It's like a little river on the sides of your ribs, where your ribs indent in right at the base. That's the diaphragm attachment, okay? It kind of sucks your ribs in a little bit. That's where you want to tie, with good feedback, your strap around your ribs. If you don't feel it and you want me to come feel it for you, I'll show you. You can put your hand. It's tiny on you. It's right there.
Okay, that's where
Yeah.
that's where my diaphragm
Attaches in the front.
And now what should I do with it?
Your strap goes around 360 and just ties there. It's tiny on you too. I feel it better when people are lying down. Here it is, right here. Just feel this. Feel where this hand is. There's like this little pull in right there. It's a little river.
I broke 2 ribs last year, like you.
Oh, you broke? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
9 and 10.
Oh, wow.
And so I
Yeah.
Touching a lot my ribs.
Yeah. You feel that?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
You guys are tiny. Okay, so you want feedback there. So it should feel like something is not choking you, but a little bit tight around your diaphragm.
Like the knot goes there.
Yeah, well, no, the knot doesn't have to go there, but that's just the level at which it is, the strap is. All right, and then once you have some feedback there, I want you to stack yourself. So find a neutral pelvis, find a neutral rib cage, find your head floating, effortlessly receiving gravity. Let your eyes close. And as you inhale, you are expanding the strap, primarily in the side ribs and in your back ribs. Keep your chest, your neck, your jaw relaxed, breathing in and out of your nose. And this, what we're feeling more clearly, is the efficient movement of the diaphragm, the respiratory diaphragm. Now, something, we did down training. We're going to finish class, and when we get on Zoom, we'll do more of what we call up training. And up training is what we call support, flaccid, and floppy. And this is the process of up-training our system. When we up-train, we awaken, activate, and engage structures that need more support and muscular activity. For a diaphragm to work efficiently, it has its full ability of contraction, its full ability of elongation. We just opened those back, brought awareness to the back fibers of the diaphragm. As you inhale, I want you to sense that you are breathing into the back of your diaphragm and the sides. The front ribs are the most flexible part of our ribs. And so often when people breathe, there's a lot of movement in their front ribs as the side ribs and the back ribs stay tight. When you breathe like this, keeping your front ribs a little quieter, really working your side ribs, your back ribs to get fuller, you are up-training your diaphragm. You are strengthening it. So it becomes your primary respiratory organ, and you're not using the inefficient muscles of your chest and your neck 20,000 times a day, which would very much affect your posture and your state of mind. And so just feeling your diaphragm. When we up-train, we strengthen the quality of presence, alertness, focus, which affects our structure, our breath, our nervous system, and our mind. We strengthen areas of the body to support optimal length-tension relationships. Two more breaths here. Okay. You can stay here in this place while I finish talking, or come out, whatever feels best to you. Could you have more of a sense of your diaphragm? Yay! That's a really important somatic area to understand in our bodies. It is, very few people can say, oh, I really can feel my diaphragm. And when the diaphragm isn't only a structure of, the primary breathing muscle, it is a central muscle of stability. I have a friend who's an ultra marathon runner, and she tells me how she goes on these 50-mile runs with her friend, and they talk. And I'm like, you talk while you're, and I've felt her diaphragm. She's very strong, efficient diaphragm, like to be able to run and talk is an amazing thing, right? That's showing the capability. So it is an of structural stability too. All right, you guys. So that was great. Hope you learned a lot. Let me tell you what happens next. I'm going to send you an email after this class in a couple days. It will have the recording of this class. I don't know if anyone's missing, but if somebody is. Okay, yeah. So the recording is there if you want to review it. And it will have worksheet 2. I'm going to hand out worksheet 2. I made one for everybody. So maybe Sam, if you could hand these out real quick. With every module, you have 2 worksheets. You're going to have worksheet 1, which you guys already hopefully downloaded and used while you watched the videos. The first worksheet will always be you answering questions while you watch the videos, okay? Worksheet 2 is about being curious and observing yourself and others. Now, the good news is that this is our Zoom class. In a week from now, we're going to go through this worksheet on Zoom. I don't expect many of you will want to do homework in the next week. So, but what I do ask is that you just read through this worksheet. So if you have questions, you know what your questions are. I'm going to have you read one of the other handouts that's in your book or in the email that has cues. You can start to just think about these things. And then when we do Zoom, we're going to go through this worksheet together. You're still going to have some work that you have to do on your own with other people outside of Zoom where you're observing them. Oh, I don't. Sorry, I thought I made enough. Really? Okay. I made 25. Oh well.
Is this something we can print out at home?
Yes. When I send this email, which will be in the next couple days, you'll be able to print it out too. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, I thought I had enough. Maybe I ran out of paper. Anyway. The other thing is we didn't quite get through everything. We worked on up-training the diaphragm. We're going to do a little bit of up-training of the core muscles at the beginning of Zoom. So whenever you come to Zoom, be prepared to move. Also have a mat available. And I'll tell you, like in the email, what you need. But you just need to be able to move. And you'll see me, and we'll do some movement together. That's the 17th. Yeah, it's 2 Mondays from now. Okay?
Do you want our homework?
No. When homework is due, so module 1 and 2 worksheets are due in our next studio class. Okay? So you've got lots of time, and from now on, I'll make it clear when things are due. You'll always give them to the TAs in class. What I really ask for with these observation sheets is please try and write clearly.
It's the smallest I've ever written, I think, to get it.
I'll rewrite it.
So that they're legible, especially this one. The other one I'm not so concerned about. This one you're going to just, be making your own notes. So yeah. All right, so let's just close together. Let's finish in a comfortable seated position. Return your awareness to your breath. Sense into the movement of your core. The spine has a natural movement with breath. The abdominal muscles should have a sense of both lengthening and contracting. Sense into the movement of your diaphragm. The front, the sides, and the back. Become just quickly and gently more stacked. Feel how that changes the alertness, the presence within your system. That movement of the diaphragm is massaging your heart, your lungs, your stomach, your spleen, your pancreas, your liver, your gallbladder, which is then massaging your large and your small intestine, and your bladder and your kidneys. Perhaps as you inhale, you can feel the movement of the diaphragm in concert with the pelvic floor. We didn't do pelvic floor today, but maybe you feel it a little. Check in with your heart. Return to the image from the beginning of class. And breathe that felt sense into your heart. Bringing your hands to your heart center. And thank you so much for learning and practicing with me today. Namaste.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, yogis from home who are in YTT. YTT